She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We are very, very blessed that you decided to join us today. Today is that one day of the week that we like to kind of set apart from the rest of the business and money and relationship talk, and we like to kind of focus in on our spiritual life. So I don't know about you, but I know for me that whenever my spiritual life is a mess, everything else seems to be a mess as well. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. This is the Dani Johnson Show. We're here every single day to inspire you to greater places in your life. We are here also to give you tools, tips, techniques, and strategies to help your finances grow, to help your business or your career grow, and to help improve those toxic relationships that you might be living in or working with, but how to become an awesome problem solver with people and elevate your value out there in the marketplace. So today we're going to actually be focusing on a piece of scripture that is in one of my favorite books in the front part of the Bible. In the covenant that God actually made with Abraham. Before we get started with this, I want to make a couple promises to you. Towards the end of the show, we're going to actually open up the phone lines and handle some prayer requests, which I'm excited to get the chance to pray for you. As well as one other promise I want to give you is that you're going to be inspired today. You're going to feel better about what you're doing. And if you're facing some major roadblocks, and let's say that there's a dream in your heart and you're just feeling like it is not going to happen, I promise you today, you're going to get some answers on how, yes, it is going to happen. And yes, there is a purpose for the roadblocks, and that there is a promise at the end of that tunnel that seems to be so very dark and that seems to not be going the way that you want it to go. So get ready to be uplifted, to be inspired, and maybe even motivated to move towards that thing that you might have just kind of put on a shelf, and now it's time to take that sucker off, let's dust it off, and let's make some things happen. My goal today for myself and for you, my friend, is for us to get closer to the creator of the heavens and the earth, that you and I would walk rightly before him, and that he would be the one that would direct both of our path, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and first start with a quick word of prayer. Father, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your truth. I thank you for your spirit. I thank you for your son that laid down his life for us. I thank you, Father, for your love and your mercy and your grace that is so evident inside of our lives. And Father, we need you to be the teacher. Your Holy Spirit is the teacher, not me and not any man or woman, but that you are the teacher. So we ask that you release from heaven your gift of teaching and your Holy Spirit that fills us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Speak to us today inside of our spirit and our soul and our mind, that we would not be the same today, but that we would be completely different, moving in the direction in which you have set before us since the beginning of time. We ask for all of these things in your amazing Son, the mighty name of Yeshua, which is Jesus. Amen. Okay, so we're going to start in the book of Deuteronomy, one of my favorite books in the First Testament of the Bible. And why? It's kind of like a summary of all of the Torah that Moses wrote by the inspiration of our Father in heaven. So we're going to start with Deuteronomy chapter 7. And in Deuteronomy, so far what's happened is a whole lot of things, okay? So we're already past Genesis and Exodus and Numbers and Leviticus. Now here we are in Deuteronomy. And Deuteronomy basically is kind of a recap of everything that had happened in those 40 years, actually prior to even the 40 years in the wilderness, but also what had happened Deuteronomy starts with, hey, we watched the Red Sea be parted. Now we've been in this place. We've fought these wars. We've set up these tents. We've eaten this food. We've stayed away from this other food. We're learning how to love one another. We're learning how to treat leadership correctly. All of the laws that our current world is still living with were written right back here in the First Testament of the Bible. And so now Moses is at the end of his life, and God is telling him that he's not going to be entering the promised land, and that it's now at the end of the 40 years, and he's now giving the instructions of, okay, when you take this land, all right, when you come into this land of promise that was promised to your forefathers, this is what you must do, okay? So this is where we're sitting. And again, this applies to your life today, friend. It really does. It applies to mine. When I was reading this the other day, man, just something jumped out of me, and I just went, oh my God, gosh, I have to tell about this. I have to share this because it is so powerful. Because through life, friend, we can just get beat up, right? We can be that person that we're just being tossed to and fro, or the winds of life are just blowing us right, and more like a tornado, blowing our feet out from under us, and we're landing right on our butt and then our head, and we just wonder, is it worth it? Is it going to happen? Is it ever going to get easier? And that's kind of where I think these people kind of were. 40 years is a long time to be hearing, yes, you're going to be coming into the land that God has promised your forefathers. You're not going to live in the wilderness forever. 40 years is a long stinking time, man. It really is. It's such a long, long time to be like, not having a home, right? You're living in a tent, like having this promise that's out here, this dream that's out here. You're dreaming of the land of milk and honey, right? You're dreaming of things getting easier. You're dreaming of whatever it is that you're dreaming of, right? Whatever it is that your dream is, your dream fulfills something inside of you, right? Whether the dream, actually the result of the dream is going to be satisfaction. You're going to feel like you've accomplished something. Maybe that dream will make you feel like it's very rewarding and it feels very purpose, and you feel like you're on top of the world, right? Can you see the dream, and can you feel what it's going to feel like when the dream comes to pass? Now, when I was younger, I didn't have any dreams. My biggest goal, if you will, was to marry a guy that wouldn't beat me or my children. That was my biggest goal. I didn't have much of a vision at all. These people were slaves, right? They were slaves, and they had terrible slave drivers in Egypt. They were in severe bondage. They were mistreated. They were beaten. They were flogged. They were caught. They were forced to work serious labor that was very painful on their very bodies. They were totally disrespected again and again and again. And so they were suffering through a time of poverty. They were suffering through a time of being falsely accused of things, being beaten, overworked, underpaid, right? And they did not have a land of their own. So God then, delivers them out of this place of Egypt. He totally overcomes their enemies. And now they've been in the wilderness now for 40 years. I want you to just imagine, think about it. You do not have a home for a really long time. Everything's in transition. It's inevitable transition. And by the way, they did not realize they're going to be there for 40 years, right? They didn't know that. It's just that one day went into the next, which went into the next, which went into the next. Have you ever experienced that? And then the day went into the next day. And then have you ever experienced that? We all have. And yet there's this vision ahead of them, this hope, this prayer, this promise, this dream of what it will be like when we receive it. And so I want you to think for a minute, whether you have a dream or not, I want you to think about, wow, what will it be like when I get there? Where is there? Where is there? And see, God here in Deuteronomy chapter 7 gives instructions. When you get there, these are some things that you need to do to sustain your success, to possess your success, and to prosper in this place. And he gives some very strong instructions about fear, about what to do with fear. Okay, so let's dive into it. Do you have that picture? Okay, what is that dream? What is the dream? Is the dream debt-free? It's really not so much of a dream. It's more of a goal. But is the dream traveling the world? Is the dream getting out of maybe the neighborhood that you're in and into a safer, better neighborhood for the family? What is the dream? Is the dream starting a business? Is the dream becoming an inventor? Is the dream being able to start a charity where you're taking care of, whether it's the homeless, the helpless, the elderly, the orphan, or the kid that's in the sex trade, and you're helping to free them out of it? What is the dream? It's time to pull that dream out. Let's start to get that sucker crystallized. I want you to imagine it, all right? And I want you to imagine how it's going to feel when you get there. Because if you cannot imagine it, you're not going to taste it. You're not going to touch it. You're not going to experience it. And I love that all the way through, from Exodus through Deuteronomy, God continued to remind the people of the dream. He continued to remind them of the promise, because you can imagine that when you're in the wilderness, it's really easy to get unfocused of the dream. And what happens when we do get unfocused from the dream, we have a tendency of becoming very narrow-minded, self-centered, and focused on problems, the problems that we're facing right here and right now. That's what we do when we lose sight of the vision, when we lose sight of the promise, we lose sight of the dream. We have a tendency of complaining. We have a tendency of being ungrateful. We have a tendency of creating more problems than the current problem it is that we have. And we make a big, huge deal out of our current circumstances because our vision, our focus, what we're looking at is in the wrong place. And we have a tendency of whatever we look at, we make it bigger than we really should. Have you ever noticed that? I know I've been guilty of that many times in my life. So again, let's dust off the dream. Here's Israel. They're being reminded again, God is keeping that promise right in front of them, all right? And let's look at the instructions. When you possess your dream, when you possess your promise, when you possess that place, okay? And he kept reminding them. That's what we have to look at as leaders. As a leader, as a mother, I've got 5 children. We've got 7, almost 8 grandchildren, okay? So with all these grandchildren and children, we as leaders, okay, me as a mom, but even as a business leader, I've been in business for 27 years. I've been leading in business and leading people in the marketplace for 27 years, worldwide for like 12 years, a little more than 12 years. So as a leader, we got to look at this example of what God's saying. Because again, he constantly keeps the vision and the dream in front of the people because it's easy to lose sight of it, especially in the wildernesses of life, especially during the circumstances of when there's hurricanes and earthquakes and disasters all over the place. We have a tendency of losing sight of what's ahead. So look at even God's example. He's our Father. He's the creator of the heavens and the earth, and the example he's even setting. If you were to look through the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, if we were to look through there, let's see how many times that he reminded them, the children of Israel, of the dream of possessing the land that was promised to Abraham. We can learn from that ourselves as leaders. We've got to continue to sell the vision to our kids, the vision of where they're going to be one day, the kind of person they're going to be, the kind of character they're going to have, the kind of maybe business person or leader in the marketplace that they're going to be, especially to our sons, edifying their future to them and telling them they're going to be great husbands and great fathers and great community leaders one day. And to our daughters, same thing. You're going to be amazing mothers and awesome wives who's going to train up incredibly respectful children who are honorable and hardworking. And you will be a woman that may have a business in the marketplace or may even have many businesses in the marketplace one day. But you're going to lead well. You're not going to be the gossip. You're not going to be the slanderous broad who's doing nothing and living idle with her life. So again, as a mother, as a grandmother, selling vision to the next generation, as a business person, selling vision to your team, the people that you work with, your coworkers, as well as selling vision to your clients and or your customers. And if you're a leader of even a charity, you're selling that vision continuously, okay? And again, this is the example that we see that God is doing. He is leading the people with vision and reminding them of that again and again and again. So when was the last time you reminded yourself of your vision? And by the way, the easiest way to remind yourself is by you continuously selling your vision. As you continuously selling it, you're selling it to yourself as you are presenting that vision to other people as well. All right, so let's get right into it. It's chapter 7 of Deuteronomy, and it says this. And by the way, I'm reading from this. This is my favorite. It's called The Scriptures. It's the Institute for Scripture Research. This is the version I love to read because they kept all the Hebrew names. Because again, the whole book of the entire Bible was written by Jews, by Hebrews, by the Israelites, and so it kept all of the original names, including the name of God. God's name is actually in the original Hebrew text, which is so incredible. It's also in the Aramaic, which is what the New Testament was written in. It was written first in Aramaic and then Aramaic to Greek. So anyway, and then Greek to English. So anyway, his name was actually kept in here. In your Bible, it probably says Lord or God. Every time it says Lord or God, it's actually his name. Almost every single time. Almost every single time. All right, so it says this, and I'm gonna speak the actual Hebrew words, the Hebrew names. It's a very beautiful language, by the way, but I love, to me, it just adds context. All right, so when Yahweh, which is the name of our creator of heaven and earth, okay, that's his name, Yahweh, your Elohim, which Elohim is basically the word for God, brings you into the land. So again, when Yahweh brings you, he's your God, when he brings you into the land which you go to possess, so again, when he brings you into the place of your dream, okay, whatever it is that goal, that dream, that passion, that vision is that it has. So when I'm reading this, I want you to picture yourself, picture the dream, okay, now it's saying that he, Yahweh, your Elohim, when he brings you, okay, that's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. Did you hear me? It's a guarantee. And when you begin to see your vision as a guarantee, it's a done deal, I'm going to possess it, that's when it starts to come to pass, friend. It's when we don't think it's going to happen. It's when we look at it as it's just too far off and it's never going to happen, is when we don't possess it. So here, look at this word, when Yahweh brings you into the land which you go to possess. All right? So look at that. When, not if. Do you hear me? When, not if. Change your language on that dream right there. When I possess it. When Yahweh, my Elohim, brings me to the land that I will possess, brings me to the dream in which I will possess. There's ownership with the when. There's no ownership with the if. Do you hear me? There's ownership with the when he, that's a guarantee, not if he. No, the if, there's no commitment in if. There's no ownership in if. And if there's no commitment and there's no ownership, you ain't going to see the dream. You're not going to possess it. So it's a when and not an if. Into the land which you go to possess, he shall also clear away many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. What does that say to me? What that says to me, again, you have your vision, you have your dream. This shows, well, in this case, with the Israelites possessing their land, there were 7 nations that had to be dismantled in order for them to possess the dream. Look, so many people, especially the 98% of the population who ends up dead or dead broke at the age of 65, dependent on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. 2% of the population who is financially independent. The 98%ers who have this mindset that if I'm going to pursue my dream, it's going to have to be easy. No, we see right here that in this case, 7 problems. 7 giant problems. In fact, 7 problems that are mightier than you. Did you hear that? So there were 7 nations that were mightier than Israel that were going to have to be dismantled, disposed. So look, your dream comes with at least 7 giant problems that are mightier than you. But why? Number 1, problems. And this is important that you understand the purpose of problems. Number 1, problems are nothing but tasks hidden by emotions. Problems are nothing but tasks hidden by emotions. You see, some people, I'm going to include myself in this some, especially in my early years, friend. Oh my gosh. Okay. In my early years, problems were gigantic emotions. Okay. I freaked out. Man, I was the massive overreactor about little things. Could you imagine how I was an overreactor over big things? Oh my gosh. Huge. I've learned, I don't know if it's age or what it is, but I really would like to say that the more that I've gotten to know my Father in heaven and the more that I know that he is for me and not against me, he is for you, friend, and not against you. The more that I've known that, the less I react, the less I freak out, the less I make a big deal out of small things. And so problems, again, here were 7 different nations. This was problems, okay, that became tasks, okay? So again, he says these 7 problems are mightier than you. And why does he do that? Because he gets to show that he's God and that you're not and I'm not. He gets to show that he is the creator of the heavens and the earth, that he is sovereign over all, and he's in control of all things. And that these 7 things were put in front of you to test your faith, to see if you would follow directions, to see if you would dismantle one at a time, not emotionally, but just it's a task. So take the emotion off of the problems and turn it into a task. All right, step 1, what do I need to do? Step 2, what do I need to do? Step 3, what do I need to do? Instead of freaking out and fretting and worrying and being anxious and doubtful and crying and all that nonsense that I've done way too many times, we're supposed to have faith and turn the problem into a task and dismantle it. All right, so verse 2. So again, there's 7, perhaps 7 things, 7 problems standing in the way of you receiving your promise. And that's by design. So many 98%ers, especially those who are religious 98%ers, well, it must not be meant to be. Friend, get a grip. It must not be meant to be. Really? That is the voice of poverty speaking. That's the voice of 98%er speaking. It must not be meant to be. No. Look, he's telling these guys right now, here's the land of promise, here's the vision, this is where you're going. When I give it to you, there will be 7 giant problems. They are mightier than you. They're going to come against you, but you will prevail. You will prevail. So quit using that stupid, lame excuse that because things are hard, because circumstances have come against you, that, oh, the devil is attacking me. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's God strengthening you. Maybe it's God teaching you. Maybe it's God showing you his wisdom, his strength. Maybe it's God preparing you through these problems to become mightier than where you're at right now. Hello? You cannot use your religion as an excuse, and you cannot use 3 parts of the Bible to sum up the entire Bible. This is ridiculousness. What you need to do is stand on the truth. Listen, every single person who had a dream come true inside of this book right here, and it's a lot of pages, 1,217 pages, every single person who had a vision and the vision came to pass, they all had to endure a ton of problems. All of us do. And by the way, even if you're not following a dream, you're still going to have to endure problems. So even if you choose the 98% path that ends up dead or dead broke, you're still going to endure problems, friend. You will forever endure problems. It's life. So to me, I'd much rather endure problems chasing after my dream and my vision and my purpose than not achieving anything and still having the same problems at the end of the day. That sucks. Okay, so there's verse 2. And when Yahweh, your Elohim, gives them over to you, oh, did you hear that? Gives them over to you, you shall strike them and put them under the ban completely. Make no covenant with them and show them no favor. And do not intermarry with them, and do not give your daughter to his son, and do not take his daughter for your son. For he turns your sons away from following me to serve other mighty ones. Then the displeasure of Yahweh shall burn against you and promptly destroy you. All right, so here we go. So here it is. There's 7 problems. He's saying this is what's going to happen. And when you get there, you make sure and do not, because listen to me, it takes a certain mindset to behold the dream. It takes a certain mindset and a certain standard to receive that promise, to overtake that promise, to possess the promise, okay? The promise of what your vision is. And what happens, and I've seen this happen so many times. In fact, it happened to me that, obviously in the last 27 years, I had to overcome a lot of things, all right? 25 years ago, I was a homeless woman, okay? Homeless and doing drugs and abusing alcohol, abusing my body. I was a mess. I was a filthy, disgusting mess. And that was something I had to overcome. And I literally had to set myself apart. I had to, first of all, get away from the people that I was drinking and doing drugs with. That was a good change, right? I mean, that was important. But I started a business from the trunk of my car in a payphone booth, right? At 21 years old, I had $2.03 to my name, a $35,000 debt, and I made my first $1 million in 2 years. Now, what happens is that, and so that was like, first dream come true kind of thing, and by the way, dreams don't come true. Dreams work to be true, right? You work to make the dream come to pass, not, oh, I dreamt it and now it falls out of the sky. So the long and the short of it is this, that it took a certain mindset, setting myself apart. I'm not watching television. I'm not hanging out with other 98 percenters. I'm not engaging in celebrity gossip. I'm not engaging in gossip, period. I'm not engaging my mind. I'm not giving my mind over to what 98% of the population gives their mind over to. I had to set myself apart in order to clear my mind, learn new skills, and develop myself into somebody that could possess the promise of financial independence. But what does happen when you get there is we have a tendency to lowering the standards. We start to get lazy with the things that helped us to become successful, right? You see, in the beginning, I had to listen to audios 24/7 because my mind would abuse me. My terrible childhood would be reminded inside of my mind. The words of my father, the man who raised me, not my birth father, the words of my adopted father would just attack my mind, telling me what a failure I was and how fat I was and how stupid I was and how filthy I was and I was never going to amount to anything. So I would listen to things 24/7 because if I would wake up to go use the bathroom, those words were attacking me. And so, but if I was listening to audios were playing 24/7, I didn't give my mind a chance to talk to me. I only told my mind what it was going to think about based on what I was putting in. But once I made that first $1 million, I stopped doing that. I did. I stopped listening 24/7. I stopped actually learning for a season. I stopped humbling myself and submitting myself to more new knowledge and growing myself. And that's typically what happens. We have a little bit of success. We have a tendency of changing our course and we lower our standards. We now are not as disciplined. We're not as diligent and we start to just get loose. And so that's exactly one of the things that's talked about here is like when you possess it, once I have given all of those 7 problems the hike, I've disposed all 7 of those problems. Now you're going to come to this land of promise. And there's going to be people in this land. Do not listen to them. Do not now become a part of them. You need to get rid of them. So he's saying right here, why? Because he says, because if you give your sons and daughters over to them to be married, then those new sons and daughters are going to draw you away from me, the one who gave you the land, the one that gave you the dream, the one that gave you victory over those 7 giant problems that you had. You will forget about me and you'll start to worship their gods. You'll start to worship their false gods. So he said, don't be influenced by these people. So you got to stay set apart and stay away so that you're not badly influenced and that your standards don't drop and that you completely forget about how you got here and how you're going to sustain this place. Very important message, friend. Lord have mercy. Okay, so let's go down to verse 5 where it says, but this is what you do to them. Break down their slaughter places and smash their pillars and cut down their Asherim and burn their carved images with fire, okay? This was an idolatrous place. All 7 of these nations that God gave Israel victory over, they were idolatrous. And so they worshiped all these other false gods, mostly fertility god of Asherim and Baal. These were fertility gods. The same gods are being worshipped in the United States of America today. The same gods are being worshipped all over the world. Honestly. They are the money gods. They are fertility, which means more and more and more. It's the gods of greed, never being satisfied, always wanting more. That's who our nation is today. That's who most of the nations that I've traveled around the world are worshiping today. And so he's saying you got to tear those down. You got to destroy all of the idolatry because I do not want you worshiping these false gods. So you got to tear it down. He's saying you don't have idolatry here in the wilderness. You're not going to have idolatry in the land of promise because, again, the standard is you worship the one true God. You do not worship any other God. So we have to get rid of all the idolatry in the place where you're going. Because again, Fred, when you achieve this dream, this promise it is that you are working for, this vision that you have, there's going to be a whole new set of people there. There is. And it's going to be a whole new set of opportunity that is there. Okay? Listen, 27 years ago, I'm nothing. I'm no one. I'm going nowhere. Okay? And then here it is as God is helping me to learn how to be successful and I'm growing my finances. Now I'm in different hotels, right? I'm no longer at a Motel 6, but now I'm in a different hotel, a Hyatt or a Ritz-Carlton which I don't stay in. Other people have put me in those places. I don't like that kind of luxury myself. It's a little too much for me. Anyway, so now it's a different group of people, right? Come on, think about it. I'm a homeless woman and I'm doing drugs. Can you imagine? Those are certain kind of people. I had to separate myself from those kinds of people because they were pulling me down with them. I was being polluted by a mindset of poverty. I was being polluted by self-destruction because, again, of who I was surrounding myself with, right? So now when you are reaching these different levels of success and you're reaching this level of promise or this hope and this dream, there's going to be a whole different kind of group of people there. Totally different, with a totally different mindset as well, totally different types of habits that they're going to have. And he simply is saying, don't you dare, don't you triple dog dare, don't you dare go there. Don't you dare start acting like those people. Don't eat their foods. Don't become a part of their custom. This is what made you successful. This is what's going to help to keep you successful. So tear down that idolatry. You cannot go to these idolatrous ways. Okay. So again, that's one of the traps of success is that you start believing you did it. You start being enticed by other doctrines. You start believing that you could do it without God. You start believing that you did it without God. That's really scary. I've done that one too. It's very sad. Okay. So verse 6, for you, listen to me, for you are a set apart people. By the way, in your Bible, it probably says holy. The word holy means set apart. That's what it actually means, set apart. It's like set apart, okay? It's setting it apart from everything else. For you are a set apart people to Yahweh. You, my friend, you are a set apart person to Yahweh. Your Elohim, Yahweh, your Elohim has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasured possession above all the peoples on the face of the earth. I want you to say yes to that. I want you to say, yes, I receive that. I want you to say, yes, Father, thank you. I receive those words. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you know who you are and who has chosen you and you know who he is, you are unstoppable. Recently, I was watching a documentary, and it was about Rockefeller, okay? Something D. Rockefeller. Terrible, huh? Anyway, something happened to him in his very early, first of all, he came from poverty, and he was a religious man, and he came from poverty. And through a series of events, he had seen that God had spared his life. He was supposed to be on a train. The train actually went over a bridge and fell and killed everybody that was in the train. And so what happened was somebody else made him late for the train. His bags actually got on the train, but he did not get on the train. And so when this happened, he went, whoa, this is providence. God spared my life for a purpose, and something happened to him. He was about to declare bankruptcy, by the way. His business was failing. He was in the oil business. He was the first man in the oil business, or well, let's say the biggest oil tycoon. That we still to this day use what it is that he developed, which is amazing. It's still ruling our world. Phenomenal. Anyway, so he realized, so here he's like suffering. He's in really bad set of circumstances. He's about to declare bankruptcy. He's about to fail. And then his life is spared that he knew, I should have been on that train. And so he knew, and something happened. So he literally went from a man about to declare bankruptcy to a man of destiny. He knew that God's hand was on his life, and that changed his mindset completely, and he knew that all of his steps were ordained. He knew that God's hand was upon him and that God was going to bless him. So his very next meeting, which was with Vanderbilt, okay, which was, again, one of the first millionaires, we're talking, in today's money, billionaires of America. This is over 100 years ago, almost 150 years ago. Anyway, so he went in to negotiate. He negotiated with what? The power and the presence of God. He negotiated with hey, I know who I am, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is going to take care of me. That's what I know. And so there wasn't this begging thing that happened. Oh, please bail me out of my problems. No, there was none of that. He knew, providentially, he knew that he was chosen and that God had him in the palm of his hand and he had nothing to worry about. Wow. There's something that happens to you and me, friend, when we realize that he is for us. When we realize who we are, that we're in the palm of his hand, that he put the dream in us, he put the promise in us for us to walk through it and to possess it. And that, yes, the problems that we have is because our Father loves us and he's teaching us wisdom through problems. Problems are designed to strengthen us. They're designed to teach us, to give us wisdom, to give us knowledge, to give us understanding. That's what it's designed to do, and to strengthen us. That's what the problems are for. It is not to stop us. It's not for our demise. God is so powerful in the way that he does teach us. And unfortunately, 98%ers see a problem and they go, what? I can't do it. Okay, so anyway, this is incredible. So I'm going to say it again. Verse 6, for you are a set-apart people to Yahweh, your Elohim. Yahweh, your Elohim, has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasured possession above all the peoples on the face of the earth. So in my Bible, I dated it, put a star, said amen, and I received that. I received that promise. I received those words. Verse 7, Yahweh did not set his love on you nor choose you because you were more numerous than all the other people. For you were the least of all the peoples. You were the least likely to succeed, and yet he chose you. But because of Yahweh loving you, and because of him guarding the oath which he swore to your fathers, Yahweh has brought you out of with a strong hand and ransomed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And you shall know that Yahweh, your Elohim, he is Elohim, the trustworthy El, guarding covenant and loving commitment for 1,000 generations with those who love him and those who guard his commands. Look. You got to walk in that confidence straight to the promise. You got to walk in that confidence straight to your dream, to your vision. You got to behold that. You have to cling to that, especially during the times when you know and you feel nasty about everything. Okay? Here's another one. Verse 10, but repaying those who hate him to their face to destroy them. He does not delay to do so with him who hates him. He repays him to his face. Verse 11, and you shall guard the command and the laws and the right rulings which I command you today to do them. And it shall be because you hear these right rulings and shall guard and do them, that Yahweh your Elohim shall guard with you the covenant and the loving commitment which he swore to your fathers, and shall love you and bless you and increase you, and shall bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your land, your grain and your new wine. I'm going to say your business, whatever your business is, whatever your job is, your finances, your investments, okay, your real estate, okay, whatever it is, that's what these guys' business was, is what they're saying. The wine, the oil, the increase of cattle, the offspring of the flock, the land in which he swore to your fathers to give to you. Blessed are you above all people. There is not going to be a barren man or a barren woman among you or among your livestock. Okay, you're going to be fruitful. You're going to be blessed. You're going to be multiplying. And Yahweh shall turn away from you all sickness and put on you none of the evil diseases of Mitzrayim, which you have known, but he shall put them on all who hate you. Listen. Number one, wow. When I found this many years ago, I'm telling you, I clung to this promise. I clung to it. So that anytime somebody would rise up with an evil, slanderous word against me, I just know he has me. And he gave this promise that he will put on a disease on everyone else who hates me. He is going to repay those who hate him, and people who are speaking against me, he's going to take care of them. He's going to discipline them. There's something beautiful about this. Blessed are you above all people. Come on, you need to underline that. You need to say, I receive that. Underline it in your Bible. I want you to meditate on that. Blessed are you above all people. He has chosen you. Okay? Listen to this. And you shall, verse 16, and you shall consume all the peoples whom Yahweh your Elohim is delivering over to you. Your eyes shall not pardon them, and do not serve their mighty ones, for that is a snare to you. When you say in your heart, these nations are greater than I am unable to drive them out. Verse 18, listen carefully. Okay, look, my dream is too big. There's too many problems. It's not going to happen. The vision is bigger than I am. I'm not capable. Look, do not be afraid. Remember well what Yahweh your Elohim did to Pharaoh and to all of Mitzrayim. There's no problem too big for God. The great trials which your eyes saw, the signs and the wonders, the strong hand, the outstretched arm by which Yahweh your Elohim brought you out, Yahweh your Elohim does so to all the peoples whom you are afraid. And Yahweh your Elohim also sends the hornet among them until those who are left, who hide themselves from you, are destroyed. Do not be afraid. Here it is again, 21. So again, when you're facing the problem, do not be afraid of them. For Yahweh your Elohim, the great and awesome El, is in your midst. He is in your midst. I love what it says in Deuteronomy 3:22. This is also one of those places where I'm like, yes! These are one of the things that I had to hold on into. Verse 22 says this, do not fear them, for Yahweh your Elohim himself fights for you. Hello. He himself fights for you. You see, when we put the focus on the problem and the thing that's standing in the way of the dream, the vision, the promise, we make a bigger deal out of that enemy that's standing in front of us. Bigger deal about the problem versus this. Do not be afraid, for he is with you. And it says, and he himself fights for you. You who are the chosen people. You who is his son or daughter. You who he has set apart, who he planted the vision and the dream and the promise in. And why has he planted it? For you to possess it. That is why he planted it, was for you to possess it. How awesome is that? So you take that today into your day, my friend. You take that with you, because today you might be facing a problem. Today you may have already took that dream, shoved it in a closet somewhere because so many people have come against you, told you it's not going to work, or you've encountered things that are too hard. Take it out of that closet. It's time to sell it again. Just as I said in the beginning, just recapping today's message. He continuously sold the dream to the people. He continuously sold the promise to the people. We as leaders have got to. Again, I'm a mother. That makes me a leader. I'm a grandmother. Makes me a leader for another generation. I'm a businesswoman. Okay, I'm in the marketplace. That is a form of leadership. Okay, all of it's leadership. So as a leader, we have to first of all keep our vision sharp. And one of the ways we keep our vision sharp is we have to continuously sell our vision to those who are around us. Number one. Number two, when you possess that dream, you have to understand there's a whole different group of people that are there with different mindsets, different customs. You are to continue to keep yourself set apart. The very thing that helped you to become successful is the very thing that's going to help you to sustain your success. Number one, remembering that He is the one who planted the vision. He is the one who has the plan of how to possess it. He is the one that's going to help you maintain it, because once you have success, now there's another job, and that's maintaining that success. Okay. And last, do not be afraid of the problems that you're facing. Remember, there's 7 nations that had to be overcome. In this case, I say it could be 7 major problems that are mightier than you, the Bible says. But do not be afraid, because He Himself is with you, and He Himself fights for you. Father, thank you so much for the message. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For inspiring. Thank you for encouraging. Thank you for the directions that are set before us. I thank you for helping any one of us who might have been about to make a bad choice or even give up, that message is loud and clear. Do not give up. Do not be afraid, for you have chosen us. You have chosen us. You are our Father. Yeah. And you come against all those that come against us. We just praise you and we thank you for this day. And I pray the messages get sealed inside of our hearts and that we're able to activate it today. In the name of Jesus, which is Yeshua in Hebrew. Amen. All right. As I promised in the beginning, we are going to go to the phones and take some prayer requests. We have some people waiting. We have Elizabeth Perry from Texas. Perry Jordan. Elizabeth, welcome to the show. How can we pray for you today?
Hi. So I am married to a man who was in the military, and he recently got out, and we're just going through some major ups and downs in our marriage. We have 2 little kids, and I'm pretty sure it's some crazy PTSD combined with crazy past stuff. But anyways, I've kind of become his target, and things are going better, and now they're going back to how they were a couple months ago, and it's just, I'm pretty defeated.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose him, but I feel like if he doesn't take it seriously and decide to really give it over to God and to pursue God with his whole heart, that it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
So,
Elizabeth, I'm so sorry to hear that. There's so many women and men who are suffering from that same exact scenario. I got 2 things to say. Number one, I've been through something very, very similar, and it is very, very, very painful, very, very painful thing to deal with, the emotional roller coaster. My daughter, my oldest daughter, who actually is going to be on the show here very, very soon, she also had suffered from 2 husbands, actually, that had PTSD and were violent and bipolar, and she was physically abused as a direct result of it. The thing I can tell you is that there is hope, and you're turning to the right one, which is God. And God tells us that we're supposed to be a people. A wise man has many wise counselors. Are you submitted, you and your husband both, to any kind of counseling?
Yeah, we are seeing a counselor. We have been, but he's willing to go. But when we get in there, he just kind of says what needs to be heard, and I don't know if he knows how to
open up. Yeah. How long have you guys been seeing a counselor?
A couple of months.
Oh, honey. Honey. Are we a little impatient here, Elizabeth?
No, I mean, it wasn't, we just...
No. You did not answer my question. Are you a little bit impatient here?
I don't know.
No, it's a really simple answer. You're expecting in 2 months a major, major wound in your husband. Major trauma he has suffered. You're expecting in 2 months, which would have been what? Are you seeing the guy once a week or once a month or once every 2 weeks?
No, we see him like twice a week.
Okay. So you're saying in 16 sessions, right? Let's see. Yeah. 16 sessions. You're expecting everything to be all perfect now, and the miracle's supposed to be done and everything's supposed to be smooth.
No, not at all. I just don't know what the boundary is when it comes to like what it's putting my kids through.
Right. So that's an obvious question.
That's the struggle. I don't want to leave him.
Yes.
I don't at all. I just don't know where the line is.
Right. So that's a great question for your counselor. And are you seeing the counselor by yourself?
Yeah, it rotates. Like one of us will see
Perfect.
him by ourselves that week, and then we'll both see him together that week,
Okay.
and then it switches. He sees him by himself, and then we both see him together.
Awesome. So what I'm going to tell you is you're doing an amazing job. The fact that you have finally come to counseling is really, really important. I don't know who the counselor is, but hopefully it's somebody that is led by God and somebody that has experience in dealing with PTSD. And it's going to take time. And I know he told you that in your very first session, and that you're going to have times of feeling hopeless, and you're going to have times of wanting to quit. And that's what you're walking through right now. But I promise you, you guys are going to get on the other side of this. The fact that your husband is willing to go to counseling is huge. But Elizabeth, here's what I need you to focus on. Don't focus on him. You got to focus on you. Don't judge your husband who's sitting through counseling with you and judging his words and determining his heart. You are not God. You are not God. And the easiest way to healing and finding the boundaries is for you to focus on you and being responsible for your own feelings, being responsible for your own choices, and being responsible for the actions in which you will take. You cannot judge your husband's heart. This does not create an environment for safety for him to open up and to truly share his feelings and to truly share what has happened and what is going on inside of him. You will be used by God to create a safe place for your husband to heal in. But you cannot be a safe place if you are judging his heart and assuming you know what he's thinking and assuming that he doesn't know how to open up. That's not for you to decide. God is the only one that knows everything in your heart, and he's the only one that knows what's in your husband's heart. He's the only one that knows what's going on inside of your kid's heart. But you cannot hear the voice of God if you're busy deciding that you know what your husband is doing or what he's not doing. Yeah. Stay away from there. You got to deal with your own feelings. You got to deal with your own emotions. You got to deal with your own judgments. You got to deal with your own sin. Let your husband deal with his own. And there's going to be an intimacy that comes together for the two of you. And your marriage is going to be an example of true intimacy. Not this fake surface crap that so many of us live in, but the real intimacy that's going to happen because you are walking through a tough trial. This creates an environment for beautiful trust and intimacy with each other. And you'll be envied by many. In fact, you may even be a couple that turns around and helps other couples who are walking through the same thing, because Lord knows we need a lot of people helping people through this thing. All right?
I love that.
Your next phone call is to your counselor to talk about boundaries. And how do I deal with this? And the next thing after that is say, God, please forgive me. In fact, let's pray together right now. And I'm going to walk you through that prayer right now. Say this, say, Heavenly Father, forgive me.
Forgive me.
For assuming that I know what my husband is thinking.
I know what my husband's thinking.
And for judging his heart. I am not worthy.
I'm not worthy.
To be a judge.
To be a judge.
You are the judge.
You are the judge.
You know the pain and suffering.
You know the pain and suffering.
That my husband is going through.
That my husband's going through.
And what I'm going through.
And what I'm going through.
And what my children are going through.
What my kids are going through.
Everybody has problems.
Everybody has problems.
And this one is mine.
And this one is mine.
Forgive me for making. A bigger deal. Of my problem. Than I should. And forgive me for blaming. My husband. For my feelings. My feelings are mine. And I need to own them. I'm scared.
But I'm scared.
And I'm worried.
And
I know I shouldn't be.
And I know I should not be.
So I leave with you. My fear. My worry. My hurt. My anxiety. Because you're the only one that can handle it.
Because you are the only one that can handle it.
Heal me.
Please heal me.
Heal my heart.
Please heal my heart.
Heal my emotions.
Heal my emotions.
Heal my mind.
Heal my mind.
Fill me with your spirit.
Fill me with your spirit.
So that I may walk. In your spirit. Which is love.
Peace.
patience,
patience,
gentleness,
gentleness,
kindness,
kindness,
self-control.
and self-control.
I want to walk in that every day.
I want to walk in that every day,
And I can't do that without your spirit.
but I can't do it without you.
Yes. Just hold right there, Elizabeth. I'm just going to pray a blessing over you. Father, I thank you for this beautiful wife. I thank you, Father, for her transparency. I thank you, Father, for her love for her husband that she is not going to give up. Father, I thank you for the miracle that you already have set. She has a vision for her marriage, and that is wholeness. That is intimacy. That is her husband being everything that she knew he could be when she married him. Father, I pray that you stir that vision inside of her by a whisper and not agitation. I ask that you take away all the agitation and the pressure that is upon her, and that she begins to nestle herself up on your lap and to feel your safety. Father, I pray protection around her and the kids. Yeah. And that you would give her wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on what words to say, when to say them. I also pray, God, that you give her a huge revelation about becoming a safe place. Yeah. Becoming a safe place, that she is with him and she is for him, and that she's able to discern words that are coming from anger instead of words that are coming from him. Yeah. Words that are being shot out of his mouth from wounds that have nothing to do with her, and that she's able to shield them, that she's able to use the shield of faith against fiery darts, and she will not receive them, but that she will receive your love through and through. In the name of Yeshua, I bless her as a wife and as a mother who's walked through very similar things. Father, I bless her. I bless her. I bless her with your patience. I bless her with your unfailing love. I bless her with a greater faith, greater vision. Father, I bless her, with peace and rest for her soul. Peace and rest for her soul. And Father, I also bless her with great strategies that she will use to succeed in her home. In Jesus' name, amen. You know what, Elizabeth? I feel like maybe God is reminding me of a teaching that I had done as I walked through something very, very similar, a season in our life that was just horrifying. And I'm trying to remember where. I think it was San Antonio. Might have been last summer. Yeah, it might have been last summer. If you check our website, DaniJohnson.com, and you check the spiritual, so it says watch because it's watching the show, and then there's a place to click spiritual. In there, you're going to find a teaching that I did about walking through some really, really hard times. And there was a strategy that I've used, and we've used it now for almost a year and a half. And it's a strategy that has worked. One of them, which is a calendar. We've made it was San Antonio. My team is letting me know. So I think it was August of last year. Find it. It's live in the marketplace, Spiritual Equipping live in the marketplace in San Antonio. So we were just in San Antonio like a couple months ago, but I'm talking last August. Anyway, this strategy has, first of all, the message is going to so equip you. You should listen to the message at least 5-10 times. But the strategy that we implemented, oh my gosh, my husband and I have been tracking. We made a choice that every day we would choose kindness, edification, and encouragement of each other. That even when we want to just screw up and yell at each other, we're going to make it a point to have encouragement and kindness towards each other. That was going to be our major weapon. Well, it's been about 330 days, more than 330 days. We've had one dispute in 330 days. One.
Awesome.
Where before that, it was every freaking week. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. I felt like I was in a crossfire constantly. And so so I confess a lot of stuff, that some failures that I had and some issues that were going on, and the strategies in which we worked. Go listen to that teaching, because it is so, so powerful. And I know it's going to help you walk through this wilderness season that you're in right now. And you're going to get to the land of promise. There's no doubt in my mind. I can't believe who my husband is today. I can't believe what our marriage is today. I can't believe the level of intimacy in which we have shared today. It blows my mind. It's more than everything I'd ever asked for and hoped for. So that's what's on the other side for you. So you be of faith. Go find that teaching, because it's going to bless you. Okay? Thanks so much for calling today. God bless you, girl. Okay, so we have Juan from Land O'Lakes, Florida. That's a butter. Anyway, Juan, how are you? So good to hear your voice. How can I pray for you today?
We're being called from God to go to Africa.
Nice.
The 30th of this month. will be part of the project there with working with orphans and how we can try to develop the community
awesome.
on that place. And the prayer is the following. My wife is pregnant with 4 months right now.
Okay.
And they require a lot of vaccination. But she's scared, just to try it. And we want to pray for protection.
Amen.
And for her out there.
Let's do that. That's awesome.
Sorry?
Let's do that now. And by the way, I'd be searching for other alternatives. There might be a waiver that you can sign against the vaccinations. Different countries work different ways, but I would be doing a bunch of research. Don't just take their word and say you have to have that. I would see if there's other ways, other alternatives that you can do instead. But let's pray. Father, I thank you so much for Juan. I thank you for his beautiful wife and the unborn baby, the baby that they're going to hold in their arms. I thank you, Father, for the calling. I can hear the excitement in his voice. And I thank you that, yes, this is one of the mightier things in front of them that you already knew in advance was going to be taking place, and you already have the answer. Father, we pray protection over him, his wife, his child. Father, we pray protection even over the children in which he's going to visit. And we also pray wisdom into him as the head of the household, the priest of the household, the provider and the protector, that you be the one that speaks directly to him and that he leads his bride and family according to your ways. Father, we thank you that you've opened this door and this opportunity for Africa, and I pray that he is a great blessing to the people in which he's going to visit and the children in which he's going to hold and hug and see. And Father, I also pray for their finances, that you flourish their finances so they will be able to help even more people, that more doors will open in this way, that their heart would be wrecked for the hopeless, they'll be wrecked for the orphan, they'll be wrecked for the sick, those who have been discarded, casted away, and rejected. Father, I pray that his loving spirit of adoption comes with him and they feel your love, they feel your truth, and that you continue to bless the work of his hands. We ask for all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Awesome. Juan, you have to send us pictures. I got to see where you're going and what you're doing. That's kind of a very, very exciting trip. Africa is on my list. We've been helping orphans down there for a really, really long time. Okay. On that note, speaking of, listen, I hope that you enjoyed today's program. I hope that you were encouraged, inspired. I hope that you got some good instructions on what to do as you're leading into your promise, your dream, your vision, and then what to do if you are already there. I think that today's message was really, really timely. It was timely for me, and I hope it was timely for you. Please do this for us. Number one, speaking of helping to take care of those who've been rejected and abandoned and all of that, join us on this adventure of taking care of those who are in need. Right now, we're in a project of building 1,000 homes for the extreme poor. We're talking about families that are living literally in a dump. In fact, I would love to have some pictures thrown up right in front of you right now so you could see these pictures of these families. I mean, 27-year-old mother with 5 children and the husband has left her. And literally her and these 5 kids are digging through the trash, the dump, every day to find food as well as anything that they could sell to buy food. This is not a way for people to live. And we want to build homes. We want to help join a woman by the name of Candida who lives in a community with 282 families who are in desperate need of food, water, housing, as well as a sustainable project so that they can start businesses, learn how to start businesses and sustain themselves financially so they can break the cycle of poverty. Join us on that adventure. If you go to kingsransom.org, again, that's kingsransom.org, you can learn more about the project. It's right on the front page, right at the top of the page where it says 1,000 homes to build. So click on that. It's going to take you to a page where you're going to see some videos and learn more and see the community of people who have joined us on this. Over 5,500 people have become an army of people to be a voice for the voiceless. Come on, do something purposeful with your life. Even if that purpose is that you can do $1 today and maybe $1 tomorrow and continuously on moving forward. Do something today. Or maybe you can buy a home. It's only $5,200 to put a family in a brand new home and a sustainability project. So thanks so much for joining us today. God bless you, and I pray that you have an awesome rest of the day.
Did you hear that last segment? Do you know someone else who needs to hear it? Go to DaniJohnson.com, find today's show, and share it online. This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.